No,
We
no,
ended up
no.
in bed.
With Bob,
Woo!
Donna.
Yes, I was just going to say McDonald, but then I thought that's E-I-E-I-O.
He lifts me in the air and says, Mama, you're one of me.
Hi, I'm Michelle Lee.
And I'm Joan Van Ark with a hug and a kiss.
And I'm Donna Mills. And we're not
Not done
done yet.
yet.
I
All
can't get it
together
right.
now.
I just can't get it right. And we have a very, very, very special guest today. A friend of mine, I know a friend of your girls too, for a long time. We've known each other for a long time, and it's been a swell time. So welcome, Morgan Fairchild.
Hello, girls. How
Well,
are
hi.
you?
Hi, girly girl. Welcome to the girls club. We're glad to have you.
Nice to
Welcome,
be here.
Patsy Ann from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, honey. I walked away from that one a long time ago.
But that was your name, right?
What
Right,
was it?
right.
What was it?
Patsy McClinic.
Oh my
Well,
Patsy
my.
she was calling me Patsy Ann, so
I was
that's my
going to
middle
say
name.
you're a patsy.
Yes.
Oh
I didn't know
boy.
that. How about that?
Unbelievable. Well, Morgan and I had for quite a while the same manager, so we're connected in that way. She worked constantly and still does. Bravo.
Well, and you guys look fabulous, I must say, and
No.
congratulations on the podcast. I hear it's going great.
Oh,
Everybody loves it.
it is. You're starting a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm starting one.
Tomorrow, right?
Well, it launches October 15th. It's called Two Bitches from Texas, and it's my
Love it.
sister and me, the Texas girls, just talking about everything on it's probably the same places you can get your podcast, everywhere you get them, Spotify, YouTube, all of that. So we're following in your footsteps, hoping to have the same success.
You
Well,
will.
it's
You
nice. And it's
definitely will.
it's fun. I did it. Went over and went over, I went here. And and then it was really fun. Both her sister and her are lovely and funny, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. Well, we enjoyed having you, and I love all your stories. So I wanted to get a little more like the real you instead of what, interviewers
Yes.
usually ask.
Good
Yeah,
call. Good
yeah.
call.
Well, they get too much of the real me on here.
Is your sister in the business or what does she do?
My sister and I started in the theater together when we were kids. I was 10 and I guess she was 9 and grew up in the theater together. And then she got a full scholarship to Juilliard and went off at 17 to Juilliard to live in New York and was John Houseman's pet at Juilliard.
Oh,
And now is back in Texas and teaching acting in Texas and has gotten a lot of awards for best acting teacher in Texas over the years and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So,
How do
you're
we sign
yeah.
up? I'd like to, I need
Uh,
a
well, just
tune up.
go to Two Bitches from Texas on
Yes.
YouTube or whatever, and we're kind of irreverent, as you can tell. A
No, but
little
that's
like you ladies.
If
that's
you
the
know
way.
Morgan, you'll know that's her, irreverent.
I know, but that's the way to go.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Honesty,
funny.
the
Yeah.
real
yeah.
deal. The
It's
real
just a
deal.
lot of fun. A lot of fun. I think we all need it these days.
oh God.
Yes,
Yes,
we
for sure.
do. Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
Morgan and I first actually knew each other because we did quite a few Bob Hope specials together.
Oh,
Oh
and I did
yes,
those too. They're
And
fun.
I did many, many more than
Lonnie Anderson is who I did several with her. He
me too.
loved
Such
her.
a
Yeah.
lovely lady.
She
Yeah.
is indeed. She is indeed. But they were fun, and it was. I mean, that's Bob Hope. What do the
Yeah.
king.
did
I actually
2
got to
hours.
sing White Christmas with him one year, which
Oh,
was,
that's an honor.
yeah,
That's an
Yeah,
honor.
yeah. I
yeah.
don't think I've ever been so nervous in my life.
Uh,
Yeah, he was
More
he
about
was
the
great.
singing or about Bob?
Both. Yeah.
You
And
have to be
and
careful,
I don't
Bob.
know if you remember Morgan, but one of the skits that we did was where I played Joan Collins and you played Linda Evans.
Oh, I remember it well. We had so
and
much
did you
fun.
end
Bob
up in the swim?
sandwiched.
Oh, sorry. Did you end up in the swimming pool? Because I know there.
No,
No,
we
no,
ended up
no.
in bed.
With Bob.
Woo! Okay.
We sandwiched Bob.
We did.
Oh, and I bet
Yes.
he loved that every second, every minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bob fights you every way, every step of the way. He just hates pretty girls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Exactly. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
What's the cup there? Is there an insignia on that?
Rolling Stones. I'm a big Rolling Stones fan.
Oh, good
Oh,
enough. Good enough. I
Yeah.
have one. I have a cup here that is from the very beginning of Knots Landing, and he
Oh,
had
let's
everybody.
see.
There you go. But it's got a chip in it. It's been so many. Anytime I have to do a work-related thing, this is the one. I'm trying to get it to so you can see
Yeah.
The Joan on it. But
yeah.
Yeah. I think
Question.
we all have a few souvenirs that we walked off with from the days back then.
yeah, I remember I showed this already to on one other quickly. But Julie Harris, when she joined Knots Landing, gave me a purse. I've saved every single item she ever gave me. It's so heavy now. This
Oh,
is Look
wow.
how beat up it is. It was flawless purple leather.
Did.
And yeah, purple, that's what it's reading. But this was from Julie. It's got to be 25, maybe more pounds. And here are all kinds of things from Michelle, from Miss Donna, just all kinds of goodies they're my pals and they're my what power. I think
Huh.
that's it.
Well,
Oh,
and Julie
really?
Harris, oh my God, what a legendary actress. I mean, I saw her do the Emily Dickens piece on Broadway, and what an
Yes,
amazing actress. And just so
five
touching and
Tonys.
everything.
Yeah, five
Yeah,
Tonys. How
yeah,
about that?
Mm,
I
yeah.
mean,
yeah.
that's hard to top. I think someone has Audra, what is it?
McDonald.
McDonald.
Yes, I was just going to say McDonald, but then I thought that's EIEIO, and
No,
It
it's
no.
is.
but that isn't what I had in mind. But yeah, Julie, when they told me, I remember I walked up, was in the building where the two producers, and they were coming down the stairs, and they said, "Should we tell her?" And I said, Tell her what? We've cast your mother." And she'll be playing your mother for this whole season, possibly more. And my head raced, and I thought, do I dare ask who it is? Because I was sure it was one of the Gabor sisters, and that was their idea of who Valine's mother might be. But sure enough, they said Julie Harris, and I let out a scream that I'm sure was heard in Tustin somewhere because it was just
You've been doing plays and things over the years too, haven't you? Did
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up in the theater, like I said, with my sister. So, I spent years doing theater before I ever got to Search for Tomorrow, and doing runaway productions in Texas because it was a right to work state. We would get, productions down there, and then got Search and everything. But like the surprise casting, it's like because I played Chandler's mom on Friends, and they called me up after all these years of me complaining about our father. His father left us for the houseboy. Finally they for the
there's a
Filipino
contemporary
housewife.
story.
Yeah, and finally went and my kind of bitterness about it and his sexual problems about it. And so they called me up and said, "Well, for the wedding, we're finally going to see Chandler's father." And I said, "Oh, great, and who?" And they said, "Well, we've got a surprise for you." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Kathleen Turner."
Oh, oh, oh
so,
my Lord.
so I think they thought we'd be having diva fights or something, but we
oh,
had such a good time. I knew Kathleen a little bit because we have mutual friends, and I was so excited to get to work with her. And she was such a doll. But the funny thing was because when we were shooting it, we were shooting the rehearsal dinner and then shooting the wedding. So it was a 2 week straight shoot. But Kathleen couldn't be there to do the rehearsal episode. So we actually did the whole episode with Alexis Arquette, David Arquette's brother, sister, in drag, doing the husband, doing the part. And then Kathleen had to retape those particular scenes in front of a live audience when she got there. But she got there and she had her daughter with us. It was so cute because Friends was such a big hit at the time. And she said, "Oh, my daughter's so excited. Would you mind if she is an extra in the wedding, if she sits with
Oh,
us. And I said, of course not. And at one point, because she had, as soon as she got there, because she had to do the stuff she was doing from the previous episode, she had to go down to another soundstage and sing "It's Raining Men" on a piano, in drag. So, and it's supposedly a drag. And she said, will you watch my daughter? So I think they thought we'd be having big diva fights, and instead I'm babysitting her daughter. So, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but a
That's,
big surprise.
yeah. And
do you notice
and
when you go into a company that you find a family there, meaning the connection between the cast, or is that a varied uh, scene?
I think, each one is different. Some
Yeah.
casts are more welcoming than others because I came in before Friends was a big hit, and because I had Matthew came. I think it was easier a little bit because it wasn't a big hit yet, so it wasn't all the craziness yet. But my first day on the set, I always say, I said I would do it. They called and offered it to me, and I said I would do it. And then Cicely Tyson was saying, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You're not old enough to play that guy's mother." And I'm thinking, well, you got to make that transition at some point in your career. So I took it, and I'd seen the show. I thought it had potential, and I was right. And even though it wasn't a big hit yet. And the first day on the set, Matthew Perry comes running over to me and says, "Oh, you won't remember me, but I used to hang out with you on Flamingo Road in Falcon Crest with my dad." And I said, "Who's your dad?" And John Bennett Perry. And so
oh,
who had a recurring part as a sheriff on Flamingo Road and Falcon Crest. And I'm like, "Oh, you're that kid." So, and then I thought, well, I guess I am old enough to play this kid's mother.
Oh,
But it was so I was already kind of got a warm welcome because I had been a little smidgy part of his childhood. So,
oh,
I want to hear about your Faye Dunaway story.
oh my
Oh
goodness.
my gosh. Well, I'll lead into it for you because I heard about you doubling her. Is that correct? And Bonnie and Clyde? Because why? She couldn't drive. I
oh,
heard.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know if she couldn't drive. It was one of those stories, because I was doing theater. I was opening. A funny thing happened on the way to the Forum that night, and one of the guys that had a sound stage where I'd shot a couple of runaway production movies and some commercials and stuff called me up as I'm walking out the door to go to the theater, and said, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?" And I said,
Ah,
"Sure." I'm 16. I said, "Sure." And he said, "Okay, we'll be at the North Park Inn tomorrow at 5 a.m." And I said, "Okay, 5 a.m. Oh my God, I'm opening a show tonight. I won't get home till 5 a.m. But he says, "Well, that's it." I said, "Okay, well, I'll do it." And as I'm getting off the phone, he says, "Oh, and can you drive stick shift?" And
oh
of
my
course,
God.
being a good little actress, I lied through my teeth and said, "Yes, of course." And then I got to the theater and said, "Guys, you got to take me in the alley at intermission and show me how to drive
And
stick
you go up
shift."
and down the alley.
Yeah, yeah, behind the theater. And so then I get to the Holiday Inn, or the North Park Inn it was at the time, at 5 a.m. I don't know what I'm doing. They load all of us onto this big bus in the dark, in November in Texas, and drive us out to the middle of nowhere, like an hour and a half out of town, which in Texas really is nowhere. I mean, it's all flat with nothing. And we get there and everybody starts getting off, and I'm the kid, I don't know what to do. So I said, "What should I do?" And they said, "Well, why don't you go look at the set?" So I said, "Okay, where's the set?" And they said, "Well, go down that road," which is, of course, in the dark, this rutted dirt road with nothing around. And so they give me a flashlight. So I'm walking down the road and looking for nothing. There's nothing there. Finally, the dawn is starting, and I see this man coming toward me, tall guy, kind of slouched over like the famous James Dean kind of picture, kind of hunched over. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you know the way to the set?" And he looks up and he says, "Oh, I'll show you the set." And it's Warren Beatty with the dawn coming up behind him, and the most gorgeous thing I have ever seen.
What?
And he showed me to the set. And then it was great fun. I'm in a lot of the scenes where you think it's Bonnie, because it's far enough away, or it's in silhouette, or it's driving, that they can use me as a substitute. So, but it was
Oh,
great fun. It was my first movie set, even though I didn't have a lot to do. And so I'm sitting around talking to Gene Hackman and Estelle Parsons and Michael Pollard and
dear
Warren, and
God.
Wow.
And then I know there was one day there was a young actor who was very, very nervous. He had a big scene, one big scene in the movie, and very nervous. And it may have been his first movie, I'm not sure. Very nervous, and we talked all day, and I calmed him down. And that was Gene Wilder. And just it was a great thing. It kind of got me thinking, maybe not theater, maybe movies. I really like the movie sets. So,
You're
And how did you become interested in it? I know your mom was an English teacher, correct? Did that
well,
help?
yeah, my mom was an English teacher, and I was this shy, quiet kid, little fat kid with the big, thick Coke bottle glasses, and white hair, white eyelashes, kind of just disappeared. But I was smart, and I was always in advanced placement, so I make straight A's and never opened my mouth, so the teachers loved you. But then one year, when I was about 9 or 10. One of our teachers decided I had to give an oral book report instead of a written one. And I was so shy. And I stood in front of the class 3 days in a row and nothing would come out. I
Oh,
couldn't speak. I
Oh,
was mortified. I was traumatized. And my mom, was upset because she didn't want her child to be so shy. She was incapacitated in life. And also, her brother was a judge, and my cousin, his son, prosecuted for the Justice Department. I came from a family of a lot of lawyers and debaters. And so it was like, she decided she would enroll us in acting classes to bring me out, as it were. And of course, every Saturday, my sister would be gung ho, and I would be throwing up in the bathroom before we had to go to class. And I was just terrified. And but at the end of the year, they had us do a little play, a kid's play, but I played the adult because I was the little old fuddy-duddy all the time, the real straight, boring one. And so they gave me the adult part, and I kind of liked it, but I would never say so. Then one Saturday morning, my mom got up and she was reading the newspaper and she said, "Oh, the Junior Players Guild is having auditions today." Now, the Junior Players Guild was this very well respected, really good children's theater group in Dallas. I'm not sure it's still there, but but it was really great. And so I'm saying, no, 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 no. And she says, "Oh, yes, we're going." So my sister, we go, we sit in the back of the auditorium all day watching all these kids do improvisations. And, you're sitting there thinking, I could do better than that, but I won't. I'm not going down there. And finally, my sister says, "I want to audition." Well, I knew if I didn't go and audition at that point, that I would get yelled at by my mother all the way home. And so I always say I have a career today because my fear of the stage was only less than the fear of my mother. So
oh,
we auditioned and we got little parts. We were dancing wood nymphs in the woods,
oh,
around Snow White. But that's the kind of thing where an adult can really make the difference in a kid's life and trajectory.
oh,
If
yes.
if if we hadn't gotten those parts, I don't know if I would have ever had the nerve to go back. But that validation from an adult that you
Yes.
have something
Feedback.
there. Yeah,
Feedback.
yeah. And I remember at
Love.
one point, some of the other wood nymphs were being a little cantankerous, and my sister and I showed up to do what we were supposed to do. And the director paid us what I came to believe is the best compliment you can get in this business. He said, "You girls are professional." and
Wow.
just showing up and doing what you're supposed to do. And but it's that kind of thing that launched it, because then you just kept going to auditions and kept getting things. And
It's a path.
you all started in the theater too. Everybody here has done a lot of theater.
Mhm.
So I mean, Joan, I have people who have told me you're just luminous on stage. I haven't seen you on stage, but just how brilliant you were in different shows that they saw on Broadway. And Michelle, I saw you in, is it Two for the Seesaw, I think?
She's
did
what
you?
is it?
Huh?
Called Seesaw was an adaptation from
Yeah.
Two for the Seesaw, William Gibson, the
Yeah, yeah,
play and movie.
yeah,
She's a
yeah.
Broadway baby for sure.
Yeah, I
She's
saw
done.
you in that when I didn't even know you. And so I mean, we're all kind of theater babes here.
But that's the best foundation. It really is. And
It
if you're
is. If you
taught
can survive that, you can survive anything.
exactly right, and you have to bail out often on stage. I was doing a Williamstown Theater is a wonderful summer place to go and work for professionals, and they do all the time. The set was with wooden floor, and it was the outdoors of a eating place and drinking. and I went out to do, I was the waitress there, back and forth, but it was a key part in the thing. And one time came out onto the set and did a scene, and then I was left alone on the set and down to get ahead, and it was raked floor on the set, and the cart with all the drinks for the later, yeah, with all the drinks for all the later scenes that are on that location down it was going, and I just raced and said a little early to start drinking because but it just you have to think on you can be ready and must deliver on anything that's thrown at you and
Yeah.
Well,
gracefully.
that's a great thing. And that's one thing.
Yeah.
My sister and I were fortunate enough, Donnie, you were asking about some of the people I've worked with. We were fortunate enough to work with a guy named Larry O'Dwyer when we were doing theater in Dallas, who was one of the funniest and great improvisers of all time. And so we grew up. I mean, I would just stand in the wings every night and watch Larry improvise, and the audience would be dying. Just hoping to absorb some of that genius.
Yeah.
And so then, like later, it stands you in good stead. I came out to LA. I've got a little part on Happy Days right away, playing Fonzie's Girlfriend of the Week. How great is that in 1977 to be Fonzie's Girlfriend of the Week? But they were so nice on that set. They would always say, come by when you're on the lot. So whenever I was on the Paramount lot, I'd stop by and say hi. So one day I'm there, and Henry comes over and says, "Hey, do you have to go anywhere?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Stay and watch our guest star. He's really great." So I stayed all afternoon just to watch this guest star and tell him he was a genius. So cut to 9 months later, I get a call from William Morris. We got good news and bad news. What's the good news? Well, you got the TV movie you wanted. And yeah, okay, what's the bad news? Oh, Gary Marshall has this new show and it's all under wraps and nobody knows anything about it. It's a big secret. And he wants you to do it, but he doesn't want to give you a contract and he only wants to pay you top his show. And you're making so much more money than that now. We think you should turn it down. So I said, "What's the name of it?" And he said, "Mork and Mindy." And I said,
Oh my
"That's
God.
Robin Williams' show." And he said, "Who's Robin Williams?" There was a time. And I said, "I saw Robin Williams on Happy Days." I said, "Don't tell Gary. I would work for free to work with Robin Williams."
Oh,
So that's, and then when you get over, because the show wasn't even on the air yet, nobody knew what it was going to be. I went over to watch the character relations on the episode before mine. And then when we started our rehearsal, you do the table read and it's all very funny. And then you get up and you start blocking, and which is where they decide where the camera is and where everybody's going to cross or sit or whatever. And I quickly saw that what was happening is they'd start with the script and then Robin would just go. And everybody would just stand back and watch Robin go until he'd kind of run out of material, but he would never admit he was running out of material. So then the director would say, "Okay, let's get back to the script. And so anyway, so we get up, and this is where being in the theater stands you in good stead. Robin started, and then he went something, and I threw something, and he looked at me, and he threw something, I threw something, he threw something, I threw, and he comes over and he grabs me, and he lifts me in the air, and he says, "Mama, you're one of me." And we just would improvise all this stuff because everybody else was just watching Robin. But, I would play with Robin. And so, just being able to improvise, thank you, Larry O'Dwyer, really stands you in good stead. That theater background, being able to go with the
that's
flow.
right. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
being
it.
able to go with the flow.
Right. If
Yeah.
the bar table starts sliding down the slanted set, you got to move fast and but it's a little early to start drinks.
Yeah, well, I just remember Robin sitting on our living room floor when we had the apartment in, because he and Christopher Reeve had been in the class behind my sister at
Oh,
Juilliard.
oh
And
my,
Oh,
I knew Christopher Reeve because he was doing Love of Life at the same time I was doing
he was
Search
at
for Tomorrow.
Williamstown a lot.
Yeah, and we had the same agent, and he would send us out on auditions together. Lovely man. Anyway, so Robin, would be sitting on our living room floor in Westwood, and saying, "Nobody's going to get this show. Nobody is going to understand this." I'm saying, "Robin, no, it's going to be a huge hit. It's really brilliant." No, no, no. He was kind of very down on it. I said, "But when it does, and you get really famous, you're going to have to be really careful." You
Mm,
know?
that
Uh,
that
famous
was
yeah,
a
last
good
word.
prophecy because you were right. You were
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the sweetest man, loveliest man. Yeah, and I do feel fortunate that I got to work with so many nice people, with Vincent Price and Betty Davis and Jane Wyman and all the great people that I've gotten to work with over the years. Paul Rubens, to Pee Wee's Big Adventure with Paul, and just so many different people that I think all of us feel very
Grateful.
lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
Natalie Wood,
And
Roddy McDowell, people I grew up watching, to be on a set with them and being treated as an equal by by them, it was just, it was, it just made you feel like all the work you put in, all the years starving doing dinner theater and stuff was worth it.
I think we're really lucky that we, how shall I say this, had our heyday
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
because I think it's
but we're not
way,
Do
done yet.
you think it's done? No, we are not
exactly,
done
we're
yet.
not done
But
yet.
We're
But
not.
do you think it's ever going to circle back to what it was, where they took the time to get the good take? Now it's, if you fall off the chair, print and move on,
yeah,
basically, because that's the rhythm right now of the
True.
business. And I'm
yeah,
wondering, what are the afterthoughts of this AI and all of these new changes and new ways of doing business, et cetera, et cetera?
yeah. And I
What
think
will be?
AI is terribly scary
Very
for
Oh,
scary.
it is
I
death
have to tell you an
horrible.
AI story from yesterday. I was talking to someone and they said, write me your information for X, Y, and Z. So I sent an email and they replied to me. And then I started the answer again, and AI had already in front of my eyes
Oh,
analyzed what I should maybe say to this
oh,
person who last told me X. I swear to you, it
oh,
frightened me
This
to
was
death.
on, this was on email?
It was on email. Yes.
wow. That's
And
crazy.
whatever it answered back was correct, but incorrect because they didn't sound like me. It was something I wouldn't say, but they put it in my head, and God
Anyway.
forbid I would have pressed something and it went out. It is frightening what is going
Oh, it
Yeah.
just takes the core out of it too. Just the one to another, the intimacy in a way.
the
Just
first time someone showed me ChatGPT, and this is like a year or so ago.
What is that?
ChatGPT is an app. And
Okay.
it's AI. You can ask it anything and it'll do it. Here's what it did. They said, okay, how many seasons did you do on Knots? I said 14. They wrote in, okay, a script for the first show of season 15 on Knots Landing. Press the button, and not 30 seconds later, it produced a script.
oh my God.
No,
Oh my God. Where's the creativity and I don't
no, where is it? That is so unbelievably
I
frightening.
know, I know, I
But
know.
I've thought about that too. Like you said, Donna, that, what's ahead? If this is the way they're moving, and how
Yeah.
long will it be? I don't know. Things are
Well,
cyclical. I
also
oh,
us, they
mhm,
have us. They have
mhm.
us on screen, on computer, on whatever.
Right.
They can make us
Make it
do
match. Yeah.
whatever they want us to do.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
will look like us,
Well, I hope I
sound
have a
like
good
us.
sex life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right. Hope you
But you
enjoy it.
just, Michelle, you just tell Chat GPT that that's what you want, and it will feed it back to you.
Don't look at me, I'm
They'll start casting immediately, and they don't even cast, but they'll start finding
talking
partners.
about Morgan. I gotta tell you, listening to you the last 15 minutes and you going on and on deliciously without an you just wet like a bat out of hell. And that's what I love. Well,
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Anyway, no, the thing is that we all know how bright you are. Okay, everybody's read about it. I have a little
Oh,
bit
well, thank you.
but I have to say, listening to you and thinking about AI and how it's answering and doing everything for us, it was delicious to hear you speak. And I know you have, everybody says you have a high IQ, which I'm sure you do. And even though we're not political in this show, okay? I mean, we decided not to be, but you and I don't know if you even remember, we were part of something called the Creative Coalition,
Oh,
which
I know. Yeah.
we were there together. And it doesn't matter what you believe in. It was a wonderful, wonderful thing that people were doing from our business, okay? Creative people going around and talking about life and politics and love and all that stuff that we have no more of. But I will say you are so gifted and well-rounded. I brought up Creative Coalition because at that point I didn't know you very well. And I
Mm.
remember sitting at a we were talking about the pros and cons about guns and gun control, and I thought, my gosh, this woman knows. You were so articulate about whatever that subject was. You know a little bit or a lot about everything. And I just sitting here and looking at that face and knowing that I've got Joan Van Ark and Donna Mills and you before me. That's why I decided to be a boy today.
It's a great
You go
time.
for it, honey. Go for it.
Whatever you are, it's working. It's working.
Yes.
Definitely that.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
lot
Definitely.
of
haven't
fun.
you, Morgan, done a lot like online and stuff like that for different organizations? Um,
Well,
Mostly political, but others too.
I have issues that I work on, because I'm a science nerd and I wanted to be a doctor, a paleontologist when I was a kid. So I've kept my hand in. So online on my Twitter and stuff, I'm always posting archaeology, paleontology, new studies on everything, new diseases. And, one of my weird hobbies is emerging viruses and epidemiology. So I ended up working with Dr. Fauci all through the 80s on AIDS.
Oh,
Because that people didn't know that much about it. And because I'm a voracious reader about anything that catches my interest, I ended up kind of knowing a lot about it at a time when suddenly it was important. All my weird little hobby of all this shit that I'm reading here, suddenly I'm the only famous face they can have go on Nightline and explain what a retrovirus is and how it works and how you do and don't get it.
Mhm.
And you felt a moral obligation to do that, to get out there ahead of it and try to get it treated as a disease and take the stigma off the gay community and just get it treated as a disease and get research into it. There was so much fear mentality. People who didn't live through that age don't remember the huge fear mentality that was
oh
going
my
on.
God.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I lost a lot of friends because I was an advocate and also because I would visit hospices and,
Oh,
so I had a lot of friends who didn't want me to come to their house, didn't want me to be around their kids, didn't want to eat off
Oh
their
yeah.
plates, and I was kind of ostracized. But I feel like I saved lives. I mean, I testified before Congress to get funding for research, opened the first AIDS veterans wing with Mayor Koch. That's how long ago. And was there for the quilt. We did a ton of TV specials and just trying to get the word out. And now I'm working on COVID the same way because everybody thinks COVID is over and it's not over. And it's very debilitating too. I have so many friends with long COVID now whose lives are being very disrupted and in some cases kind of destroyed by it.
is there a
Um,
new fold or wave of COVID?
yeah, yeah. There'll be a new way because we don't get it under control, so it keeps
Yeah, yeah.
mutating. But I've got friends, including people that I know we all know, who've come up to me privately and said, Morgan, I managed to avoid it, but I caught it, and now I've got long COVID, and I see you tweet about it. Would you give me any tips and stuff? But I have three girlfriends with breast cancer from it. I've got one waiting for a kidney transplant from it. My fiance died of heart attacks from it. Even though he had Parkinson's, he died of heart attacks from the long COVID. He kept catching it in the nursing home. I've got somebody DM'd me last night on Twitter or X, as they call it, to tell me that one of their friends, they contacted me a couple of years ago and said, my friend of the family has long COVID, and please, any advice and any studies you see or anything. So I was always feeding them stuff on DMs and emailed me DM'd me last night and said that that person had passed away from long COVID. So
Oh,
people,
Oh,
well, it eats away at all your organs and your brain and
oh,
causes dementia, causes cancer, causes all these different things. So yeah, so I'm working on that now and advocating for that now. But I'm always trying to get little animals rescued and adopted. And but even back in the day, I was pro-choice before it was cool. And so doing that, and I was on the board of the Hollywood Women's Political Committee. So we would organize marches in Washington
Yeah,
and
remember that? That was a
I
yeah.
wonderful organization.
Oh my
Whatever
God.
happened to it?
Well, they kind of dissolved it back in the 90s. And, it went for about 10 or 12 years. But it was such a great thing. And you met so many great people. They had so many speakers come in. I met Madeleine Albright there. I met Tom Oliphant from the Boston Globe there, and Norm Arnstein from the American Enterprise Institute there. Jane Goodall I met there. Just so many great opportunities to meet and learn. And I wish we had another organization like that in Hollywood now for some of the younger people coming up, because it was something that, that we're trying to educate young people on the political process and
The ones
how you can
coming
make a
in.
difference and what the issues are, and, good, bad, and other. And, it was a very educational process, and it felt like you
Mhm.
were helping make a difference in some way.
Yeah, I
Well,
remember
I,
meeting Madeleine Albright through that
Yeah.
organization. She was
yeah.
so lovely and so nice, and she told me she was a Knots fan.
Yes, she told me that
Oh,
too.
isn't that a
Oh, I
gift?
talked to
What
her.
a gift. What a gift.
Yeah, I mean,
Morgan,
phew,
uh,
you really
No,
feel special when somebody like that.
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That's a compliment,
Yeah,
yeah.
beyond a compliment.
Exactly.
It's an honor.
Exactly.
she
But
was
Morgan,
great.
I think you have shown us and told us about all these things that you are truly, we're not done yet. You are a motor, and a motor of, I would say, uh, of goodness, and of being a part of it and speaking up and speaking out. That's you're the perfect candidate. I swear to God.
Well, then,
Yeah.
well, I'm just so Aquarian. Aquarians are always trying to save the world and make everybody be nice to each other. So
Yeah,
Well, you've
no,
got
I
a
always
big
sign
job
off.
these days,
Yeah,
making
I always
everybody
sign
nice
off
to
on.
each other.
yeah,
Exactly. I always
Stop
sign off on my
talking.
things with be kind, be kind. It's just,
yeah,
uh, it's
yeah.
like you never know what other people have gone through or what they're going through. And so it's just
Right.
always be
It's
kind.
Yeah.
you hit it head on, and you're busy, 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 and doing. And that's the best thing that a person can do. I think an actor, definitely an actress, has to be very, not clever, but just don't give up. Never, ever, ever give up is what
Well,
I.
I think that's so great what you guys are doing because, especially in Hollywood, once you pass the age of 40 in this town, it's like they just want to throw you away. But to keep the curiosity to going, to keep the outreach going, to keep the learning, the moving, always moving forward going.
Yes,
And you
that's it,
guys are just
forward.
epitomize that. And with doing the podcast, and that's what Catherine and I are trying to do with our podcast is, again, show people how to have a generous heart, a generous spirit, reminding people that
Being
we're all in it
productive.
together. Yeah, and we're all in it together and we're all moving forward together. And I've always had that attitude that the main reason we're on earth is to help each other get through life. I believe in reincarnation, and I just always thought that that is our main purpose here, is to help each other get through it.
It always seems
Positive.
to me that the people that are the happiest in life are the
Yes.
people who help others.
Others. Yeah.
They really have joy
Yeah.
because that's what that brings.
Yeah.
People who are mean and angry all the time and
And
that,
trying to make it even, trying
yeah,
to out.
like kindness.
Yeah.
It's really a very
Yeah.
important thing to our core. As a matter of fact, I had lunch yesterday, I have to tell you girls, with Brian Austin Green.
Oh, did
Oh,
you?
We
Oh,
had
good.
on the show, and so we finally had lunch together. And I am so
Did you
proud.
know that he played Donna's son on Knots
Yes,
Landing?
I don't know if you knew that. He played my son. And you talk about kind people. I mean, he's just I feel proud that I brought him up like I did. You
yeah.
know,
You got a
just
reward. You got
Well,
a
you were a
reward.
good mom. And I'll tell you what, that's one thing I've always loved about you, Donna. Things that you don't know that people either DM me on Twitter or tell me when they run into me somewhere. All the times they've seen you taking your daughter Chloe to the Midnight Mission or to a food bank drop off. All the times they've seen you out there doing good things with no cameras, and the way you've raised Chloe to be like that. You've
That's what
set
I've
such
been.
a great example. I
thank
treasure
you.
that about you.
Thank
And
you.
the theater. She takes her daughter, or did take her daughter all through life. She went to see ballet and theater and just gave her all the good stuff that not everybody gets to
Do
have.
you know that she just had a baby?
I do, and I was expecting to see pictures here today.
Yeah. Wallpaper it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I told Donna that, at one point when I was talking to her and she had her phone out and the baby picture came up and I thought it was the new grandbaby. I said, "Oh, is that?" And she says, "Oh no, that's Chloe." And I love that she still has Chloe's baby picture
Oh,
as her screensaver.
Yeah, I can't do away with that picture. That just, it's my heart.
no, totally.
I have
I've
to
got
show this
Vanessa's all
now, and
over
it
the place.
might have a lot of shine on it, and I never would show you this because my son said you can never ever show his daughter, my granddaughter, my first and only granddaughter, but she's so young here that I'm going to show it. You wouldn't
Yeah.
recognize her.
Well, he
Okay?
said don't, so you got to do it.
No, no, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Is it okay and no shine? She's
oh, yeah, I
Yes,
can see
it's
it.
sitting,
I
okay.
can
It's
see
not
it.
shining. Yeah, it's good.
sitting in the backyard, my backyard at a table. Somehow she's got sunglasses on. She's looking at whatever that drink is.
That's
She's
that's
Great.
she's gone Hollywood very early with the
Oh,
sunglasses.
yeah.
yeah, that's for
Oh,
sure.
I'm sorry, Morgan, I don't know if you and Michelle know that you have something else in common. Michelle just had a big flood in her house.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
Did
Yeah,
you
you
have it
just
too,
told me.
Morgan
Morgan?
had that.
No, I tell you, I had a bad contractor after the earthquake who put my house back together totally wrong and didn't put flashings around any of the windows, and we got black mold, which I think is what triggered
Oh,
my
my.
Oh,
fiance's Parkinson's, and it blew me up like a balloon. Every time I see the Inquirer thing saying, "Oh, Morgan gained weight," she must be eating a lot. No, I got black mold and it blew me up. Anyway, and so just be so careful because I know what it's like going through that devastation. I was out of the house almost 4 years, and then moved back in and only to, I actually had a psychic come up to me at some Christmas party where I hadn't gone over to them. They came over to me and said, "Your house is trying to kill you, right?" And I
oh,
said, "No, no."
oh,
And I didn't know because without the flashings, you can't see flashings. I didn't even know what flashings were at that time, and you can't see them. So I didn't know they weren't there. That then when that started leaking, then the
Oh,
insurance company wouldn't pay for anything.
Mm.
And I ended up having to sell the house, and because it was going to cost a fortune to fix it, and insurance wouldn't cover anything. But just watch out when they put things back in if you've had the water damage, because you do not want to go through the black mold stuff. Believe me,
well,
you
I
just
had
make
it checked.
sure.
I
she's in.
had people coming in and they checked for everything. So
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
what?
good.
mold free.
Oh,
Yeah.
good,
But
good.
wait, didn't you move, Michelle?
Oh, yes. Wait,
Is this the new
this
behind you?
No,
no,
this,
this is my I come back and forth to the house with the flood. I'm actually not in my house. This is where I was sleeping for a long time, I'll tell Morgan. I was sleeping here for a long time. They brought my bed from the real house over there in here so I could sleep in there, but there was one problem. Ask me what the problem was. There was no
What? What?
bathroom.
There's what?
Oh,
No bathroom in this place. So
What?
when I had to leave this, actually, it was a major garage with automobiles in it, like three or four people
Oh
before.
my God.
And so I slept in that bed. And when I had to go to the bathroom, I got up, I went to the other side of this room, imagine four automobiles. And then I opened the door, go across a patio, open my laundry door, and
Oh,
walk down the hall to a bathroom. That's how I lived.
oh,
Just moved into an apartment and
yay.
love it about 4 days ago, but
God.
I'm still putting things
Oh,
around
yeah.
anyway.
Oh, I'm so sorry you're going through that
I
because
know.
I mean, only people who've been through house hell understand the
understand
stress
it.
it
It has
causes.
to be, it tears you apart in every
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
in
Well, and
every.
dealing with people who aren't honest, also, just to find out that I'd spent a fortune and the house was, not put back together right, and then you end up having to lose the house anyway. Not great. So just Michelle, there's a
That's
thing called an overseer that I was advised after the debacle that I should have gotten an overseer.
to start
So
with.
Yeah.
Rochelle,
This
I
is
have to tell you, for all this stuff that you've been through, you're a real soldier. I mean, you
yeah.
really are. You have weathered it, and
You've
you've
come
just
out on
done
the other
great with it,
side.
and I'm
Yeah.
very
My
proud of you.
girlfriends really,
Yeah,
Came out
really
very
on the
proud
other
of you.
side.
because I've gone crazy and they've helped me so much. They keep talking me down from wherever the hell I am. It's been rough. But when you have girlfriends like this, really, oh my gosh, and they've been through a lot with me way before the flood. I think we helped each other.
Well, the older we get, the more we value those friendships
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
family that
amen.
stands by
Amen.
you.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
my sister and I during COVID started doing a once a week Sunday talk when she was driving, when she'd finished work and driving to her lake house. And because we realized we kind of lost connection. We were both so worried about bothering the other one when we thought we'd interrupt work or something. So we established a day and time, a kind of time, but a section where we would just sit down and talk every week. And it's kind of the genesis of our podcast, but it made us realize the sanity it brings into your life and the grounding it brings into your life, just
Yes.
to have that little bit, to know the people
Yeah.
you can count on. I mean, you ladies have been through so much together,
Yeah.
for so many years. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen. We got it. We done it.
They said something
mhm.
like 50 years on knots. I don't, how does does that track? Does that sound right to you that knots was
No,
50,
well, that
50?
would be, so
It
you
was
started in 75. I don't think you started in
No, no.
no,
75.
79.
79. We only shot one episode in 79. It wasn't on, I think, until 80. And
Yeah.
it was a pilot, I think we had done in 79, something like
Up
that.
at the cul-de-sac. I remember so well. And Michelle said, "Oh, I've done a couple, pilots and la la la, and this won't happen or that won't." I said, "No, I feel like this one is gonna go through because it had also the fall wind behind them of Dallas. It's from, the Gary and Val moved there, and then they were here in this cul-de-sac with all kinds of crazy people, including." The enemy here, the gorgeous. Was that the second season, Donna, when you came in, or
Yes.
third?
In the
Second.
second season. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure
at
they
that
said.
time, the shows were still seeing each show was a story. It wasn't
Yeah.
It
serialized.
wasn't serious.
Completely
Yes,
story.
yes.
Yeah.
But
And
the
once they
series.
started making it serialized, which is what brought people back all the time, of course, whoa, what are they going to do next week? What's going to happen to her or him or what? And, then it
So
really
it lasted
started.
14 years, and Dallas claims it was the same, but we are a couple or three episodes ahead of that. So we're
Yeah.
even better
Yeah.
than Dallas did,
Did
the
more.
one that we came, into it with.
Yeah. And
So,
and the feeling that it gives all of us, Morgan, is so incredible that people are still watching it.
no,
They're not
Well,
still,
done yet.
that's the nice thing. And I know I just saw all of you at the Dallas reunion too. And that these shows that people just still love them so much. I mean, for the Dallas reunion, people flew in from all over the world to
yeah,
come to
they
this
do.
Dallas
They
reunion.
do.
To know that the shows that you guys did, still touch people. I mean, I get some of that from Falcon Crest, but I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. But it's like, the shows, the work that we do, that's the main reason we do it, is to touch people's lives. My crazy mentor Larry O'Dwyer always used to tell us acting is reaching out in love to your fellow man.
Oh, I love
and
it.
and,
Oh,
and that's kind of the feeling you get, the things we did 40, 50, 30, 20 years ago that people are still loving. I mean when Matthew Perry passed away, the condolences I got from people around the world, because to them I was his mother. The lives that you touch that you never know, that you mean something to them, or something you said in a script, something. I know, Donna, you've got your "Don't Call Me Cookie," but I don't have a signature line. But people come back and quote lines to me, and I don't even remember it. Of course, my signature line is to Kathleen Turner at the rehearsal dinner when she shows up and says, "Aren't you a little old to wear a dress like that?" And I just say, "Don't you have a little too much penis to wear a dress like that?"
Oh
and you
my.
know, so
Oh, all
a
right.
little racier than yours, but
Oh my God.
I
Oh,
get quoted that one a bit, and something from Two and a Half Men too. But it's, the things that people remember that you think is like a passing, thank you for the job, and glad people liked it, and then all these years later that people still love it and quote lines back to you and
well,
tell you
Holly,
more,
how.
never more than right now with this podcast and the kind of episodes that we've done. Because to read the comments from them all, they are warm and loving, and you can always. I wonder too how you feel when you read a fan letter or an email or something. That can you smell the real ones from the flowery, overdone, this doesn't sound right to me kind of thing, or do you just
an
sit?
instant
I
for me.
What is it? What, Michelle?
All you have to do is pick it up, read 3 lines, and you know.
You know, yes, that's what yes, indeed. It just is two hearts and flowers. And when they list shows that are all over the map, you know they just looked into a, uh, what is it?
IA,
Yeah, yeah,
IABC.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't get any like that.
Well, you
None
always
of that.
appreciate that people have seen your work. It's like when I was going to do the pilot of Hotel. I actually took the pilot of Hotel to have scenes with Betty Davis. I was so excited.
Oh, I
And
did too. Oh,
oh, and she, they warned me, oh, she doesn't like working with women. She's always early. She's always barking at the crew to, get ready, get ready. So I'm terrified, but I'm so excited. And I arrive on our set, which we were shooting this big mansion over in Hancock Park. And my trailer isn't there with my makeup and everything. My trailer isn't there. I can't get ready. And I'm sitting on the lawn in front of this mansion, knowing Betty Davis is going to be waiting on me. And I'm, finally my trailer gets there and I slap on all my goo and I run in and I've got my junk and my script and everything. And I walk in and they'd been able to start doing the master because they have a little bit of a scene before I come in. So they'd been, Jim Brolin and Betty had been shooting. Anyway, so I get there and Elaine Rich, the producer, comes over to me and says, oh,
Oh,
thank God, says, have you met her yet? And I said, well, no. I mean, and indeed, I had presented on the Oscars that year, and I'd been standing backstage with Betty, like 2 feet away with her chain smoking. Never said a word to me. I'd been at a couple of galas where she was at the same table and we were introduced, but she never spoke to me. So when she says, have you met her? I said, well, not exactly. She said, well, come meet her. So she takes me over, and Miss Davis and Morgan Fairchild. I'm saying, thanks, so nice to meet you. And I start to turn away, and she says, oh, we met at the Valentino Awards.
oh my
One of the
God.
one of the one of the tables where she hadn't said a word to me. so
Oh,
I so I turned back and I said, I didn't think you'd remember. And I start to go in and she says, and I've got something to say to you.
uh-oh.
And I mean the set stops. You could hear a pin drop. And I turned around and I said, yes, ma'am. And she says, you are marvelous.
Oh,
And I kind of died. And then thank you. And I started to walk away. And she said, another thing. And she starts going down this whole list of shows I'd done. I mean, practically everything on film I'd done up until that point. And she hit one, and I said, oh, Miss Davis, that's a very kind of you, but it wasn't a very good movie. And she says, I saw what you were trying to do with it. And and then she followed, finally I'm like, go back, and Elaine Rich, the producer, comes over to me and says, me, I can't even get a good morning. You are fucking marvelous. It's
yeah,
like, oh, excuse me.
yeah.
Sorry, direct quote there. so,
but you're
and
She
so,
lying.
did the same
yeah,
thing on a set that I did on a TV movie at Universal, and she
yeah.
saved me versus it was a scene where we rehearsed it. It wasn't working. I could tell, and I knew they were going to start laying lights and the whole thing that they do. And there she is standing just out of the light of this thing. She says, "Come here," and she asked the wardrobe person to go and get a black widow widow's hat, black hat, and veil. And I don't know whether she was trying to hide me, but she did the same thing, saved me during the show, doing the show, the scenes and whatever. But by doing that, I didn't have to do a thing. You can be simple and do the clean acting you should do, and no bells and whistles. And the widow's reeds, so to speak, of the hat and the black veil said it all. And so all you had to do is be simple and do the dialogue.
The Bette Davis story. Also, I did a special. She was hosting it. And during this special, I was to sing a few songs on it. And then when I did my first one, she introduced me. And just being introduced by her and say the things that I'm sure was written for her to say about me was, well, I don't have to tell you. You told me all your stories. And here she is, Miss Michelle Lee.
Mm,
What?
hmm
Right.
That's a
Ladies,
double.
we're having so much fun, but we're out of time.
Oh,
Well,
What?
thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me. And, we all have to get together for coffee or something.
of
Yes,
course we do.
fun and games, fun
Yeah.
and games.
Exactly.
And actually, I'll see
Exactly.
you soon, Morgan, in New Jersey.
Oh, yes, yes. We're going to be at Chiller together.
We'll do-
Thank you for joining us, Morgan. I mean,
Thank you.
it's been a joy, as I knew it would be.
Yeah,
And I
for
look forward
sure.
to
Thank
seeing you
you.
very soon.
Yes, yes. So much
Love
fun.
you.
Okay.
Ah, bye-bye.
Bye, honey.
Bye.